Oh, happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to the Comic Corner, Agents of Fandom Network, here on YouTube, Twitch, and the Bad Place. Don't know what's going on with Meta, but whatever. My name is Damon. I'm your host. We do comic book news, reviews, interviews, all that good stuff, like every other comic book podcast on the internet. I am joined alongside my two buddies. Let's start off with AF all the way across the pond. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you guys? I feel like I just told Damon this off stream. Like I feel like I haven't seen you guys in a long time, and it's been a few weeks. Yeah. So happy New Year to everybody. Compliments of the season. Hope everybody's been doing well. But yeah, I'm excited. I've been reading a lot of comic books over the last few weeks, so I can't wait to talk about some amazing books today.
There are a lot of good books that came out this week, apropos to last week, where DC was just like, we're not going to release any books this week. And I'm like, okie dokie. That's a choice. But yeah, whatever. It worked out.
Holiday specials, though. So many holiday specials that came out last week.
TJ, good morning to you.
Good morning. Like you said, it's weird. We had like a Marvel week and then we had a DC week. So at least this week is a little bit more balanced. And I'm just happy that we all got to be together this week. AF, we missed you, buddy.
I missed you guys.
I forgot to add a book to the polls this week, but we'll do it at the very end. It's Your Ultimate X-Men. That's my bad. Forgot to put that on our slides.
Oopsies. Geez, just cut the show.
Sorry. Well, we'll still do it at the end, but I forgot to put a pretty picture attached. What we got today? We got a prequel to a backstory, an absolute Ark-M. I have some thoughts on it. I've seen a lot of people really praise this book, and it's a lot of people's like favorite book of the week. I think that's fine. I have a little bit of qualms with it. A fun and light Batman book from Matt Fraction's Batman. It's actually kind of fun. It's not too serious, but we'll get into it. And more importantly, he is finally here. He is finally here. Absolute Superman, the symbol of hope and what that means to the absolute universe. He is still a short king in my mind, but golly, what a book that is. Let's start out with Absolute Ark-M, written by Scott Snyder and Frank Thierry, artist Josh Hickson, colorist Roman Stevens, letter Clayton Cowles, and editor Sabrina Fuchs and Katie Kubert. AS said we can go into a little bit of spoilers on this book. I think spoilers are fine because there's no way you can talk about this book without talking about what this issue is. Because this is like a special issue. I'm like, when they announced this, I'm like, Absolute Ark. I'm like, what are we doing here with this issue? And essentially, coming off of the last issue of Absolute Batman, which was a Joker backstory, right, TJ? It was a Joker backstory.
Mm-hmm.
We now go into Absolute Ark-M a couple weeks later with a prequel to that backstory. And everyone's just messaging me like crazy. We won't the second we go on air. Insane.
Popular guy.
Oh God. So that's my qualm with it, honestly. It's like I feel like we just got a double downloading of Joker just in a very short period of time. And I think I would have preferred maybe this was either stretched out, A, or B, put into one book. Because it felt a little weird, essentially getting two backstories to Joker here. Where the last issue, it's like, we need to talk about this guy, Jack Grimm. He's and his grandfather, his great-grandfather, his great-great-grandfather. Oh, but he's all one guy. And it's like, whoa, crazy. And now it's like, okay, now we're going to go all the way back to when he was a little kid and find out what put him in this position. I'm like, okay, but I don't know. It just felt like a lot of Joker all at once. If it wasn't for us getting that Joker issue a couple weeks ago and maybe like the delays and stuff definitely played a part of it here, I think that definitely did. I think I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. That being said, it's still a very good issue. I just don't know if I like knowing this much about Joker already. It's a character that I like to not know much about. part of the reason of who Joker is, in my opinion, why I enjoy that character. I know some other people do. Everything's different. I think you can also play it a little bit differently in this world when it is an alternate universe. It's the absolute universe where you can have a little bit more freedom. Is like, I don't want to know why his brain works the way it does. It's why I don't like the Joker movie. It doesn't.
Same.
I just
Yeah.
don't, because I don't want to quote unquote sympathize. Now, that being said, you do not sympathize with this Joker at all, which I think is like a good way of exploring this character, but you don't sympathize with him. You just learn that this kid, this being, this human, if you even want to call him a human at this point, this person, this Joker, is just like insane and violent and murderous. And I think that's the most I'll go into these spoilers of this. We go deep into the history of what Arkham was and what Ark-M had become to this point. And I think it's really, really fascinating. In a way, though, I will spoil this if you don't want to hear it. We kind of sort of get the quote unquote real Joker moment, sort of like the Joker 2, which is a Joker that inspired the Joker in a way here, but I think it's actually done well. TJ, what did you make of Absolute Ark-M?
I thought it was super cool, but at the same time, I felt like it wasn't needed. And I don't want that to sound like, again, like I didn't like it. It was super cool. I thought the kind of twist that they did with the Joker was cool, but like you were saying, kind of getting back to back prequel of a prequel for Joker, which I am of the same mindset as you as well. I'm always a big fan of, I don't really want to know anything of, like, Joker is the Joker. That's it. Like, he's crazy and psychotic and we don't know why, and like, let's move on. That's my version of the Joker. But I mean, it was still super good though. You know, it was still super good. It was creepy, but yeah, I just felt like it wasn't really needed. If for me, which I mean, who the hell am I, right? This is why, you know, Scott Snyder gets paid the big bucks, but I was expecting this to be more so like how he started, like the experiment of Ark-M, like how that all got going. But this was just like you said, just a history lesson of Arkham, like Asylum, like you would find in the regular universe book. Which, like I said, I'm not saying that there was anything wrong with that. Just not really what I would have expected. And like I said, in the end, it was a cool story. I'm glad I read it. Like, it was really cool. But as far as like what's going on with Absolute Batman, what's going on with these experiments, it really didn't give me anything for that, except for that last page. Like, we get a little stinger on the last page that kind of, which in hindsight, it feels like that's what this issue is for. It's really just to kind of set us up for our next kind of wave of villains we'll see.
It is,
which
yeah,
and like that's kind of what it is. So if I'm looking at it through that lens, it's great. But like I said, felt like I didn't really need it.
You know what I could say this issue felt like? This issue felt like the prelude to Chapter 0. Where if we are including the first volume of books up until, I'd say up until the team up issue, right, that we're about to have with Batman and Wonder Woman and the Batman side, and we end on like that Joker issue, essentially, I would call that like almost like the deluxe chapter, not like a volume, but like a deluxe chapter, right?
Yeah.
And this issue felt like issue 0 of Chapter 2.
100%. Yes. 1,000,000%. That's how I would look at it for sure.
And
if you haven't read it yet and you're watching this, like, go into it with that mindset.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it here. It's still a very good issue. And if you've been liking Absolute Batman, which like the majority of people have been, it's a must-read issue, especially because it does set up essentially the next villain for Batman going down the line. It also makes sense, without spoiling who that villain is, Scott Snyder has mentioned that we were bringing in some more characters into the Absolute Batman sphere. It makes sense who this villain is for some of those characters that will be brought in.
I'll say personally, I'm not going to spoil it, but personally, I was a little underwhelmed by the
Very
reveal of the
well
big
because I
villain.
Is it
do.
Poison Ivy? Seeing
It
that
is
we've
not.
seen the Poison Ivy covers.
It is not Poison Ivy.
I say
But so
I'm not
think
gonna
about
say.
it this way, AF. The very first villain of the absolute Batman arc was not Bane, but it was Black Mask, right? But like Bane was kind of set up to be kind of like your first level boss in a way,
Yeah.
where you have like your little mini bosses, but Bane is the first level boss. I feel like
Yeah.
Ivy's going to be like almost the Black Mask. And then this
Ah,
character is
Yeah.
going to be your chapter 2 villain, which is who
Boss
this is,
battle.
right? This is the one that will be kind of like leading us down to this will be the one that tests Bruce the most next.
interesting.
And I'm looking forward to it. I am slightly concerned for some of these characters' future, considering who it is. But yeah, look, I gave this issue like a 4.5 out of 5. The only thing that dragged me down on it was just like kind of the back-to-back Joker-esque that we've been getting, where it's like the Joker's obviously like the big final bad, right? And that makes sense. But I hope we can pull back on Joker now. It's like we just did back-to-back issues of it. We are really setting him up to be this next, like be the big guy. But now we can go back and be like, okay, we have Ivy coming up next. We have this other villain coming up next. And who knows down the line, Batman has such like an incredible rogues gallery that we've kind of like hardly touched because a good chunk of them are his actual friends. I'm curious to see what happens with them going down the line, right? I think it's really fascinating. I do like this book. I really do like this book. I think Absolute Batman has become one of my favorite Absolute titles. After that first arc, it's been cooking.
Yeah. I love it. I agree. I give it about a 4.5 as well. And like I said, the criticisms I have, that's me putting my comic critic hat on for a minute. You know, it's an amazing issue. It's especially like you said, if you're loving Absolute Batman. So yeah, it's just more of like an issue 0 for this next arc. But I mean, yeah, this series has been killing it. But I agree. I hope that we kind of leave Joker. Like, I feel like the series has done a really great job with keeping the Joker stuff close to the chest.
Yes.
And I would hate to see it all unravel so quickly. Like, just like, okay, we did a little bit, so let's do it all. I don't want that. So I hope that they reel it back a little bit. Let's dive into some of these villains and then we'll circle it all back.
Absolutely. Speaking of absolutely, we're sticking in the absolute from Batman to Superman. This is the issue I've been waiting for. This is the issue I know AF has been waiting for. Our criticisms with this book is we still really liked it, but the Superman never really felt like Superman yet. And it was all building up to this issue. This is written by Jason Aaron, artist Juan Ferreira, letterer Rebecca Carrion, editors Ash Padilla and Chris Conroy. This is Superman issue 15. A new story starts here, essentially a day in the life of Kal-El, a day in the life of Superman. TJ, before we get going, did you have the opportunity to read this issue?
Unfortunately not. I'm still a couple issues behind on Superman, but do not worry about spoiling it for me.
So at the end of the last issue, I teased it for you, TJ. There's a really heart-wrenching, gut-punching moment that essentially, in a way, creates Superman. The Superman that represents hope. And even though we are finally at, like, as you can see here on this cover, he's no longer in black. He's in his blue. He's in the blue and red with the big symbol of the House of L right in front. Actually, not really the House of L, but the symbol of what it meant to him on this in this absolute universe.
Dust miners, or
Labor
Guild, the working class symbol,
yeah,
right? Like it's the working class symbol of Krypton in other universes, the House of L, symbol of hope. But
I think it was the Labor Guild.
The Labor Guild. Thank you. Look, this issue's great. This is my issue of the week. I've been waiting for this issue where it really felt like this Kal-El became Superman, and he is still not like Boy Scout. That is not what this Superman ever will be. But he is a bit edge. He does have that edge, but his ability to contain it and still find the good and the hope in the worst of the worst to eventually maybe that person could crack, right? It's fantastic. What they're doing with Ra's al Ghul in this issue, what they have Superman going on in Smallville with Lois. We are already starting to create a little bit of a love triangle. He is
I loved it.
officially, by the way, Clark in this issue. I think that's maybe my only slight edge on it, where I'm like, where did the name Clark come from? Who named him Clark? Because
Out of all the
Lana
names.
Lana keeps calling him Clark, and he kind of officially adopted the Kent's barn, and he's working at the barn, and he has the land; it's all his, and he's living the life that he should have lived, right? But the name Clark completely came out of nowhere,
It's just a
and I
Martha,
hope like
though.
maybe an issue down the line they kind of like maybe in an annual they can explain where the name Clark came from. I think that would be like a perfect annual. But there's a line in here from Lana. And I really like Lana and Superman in this universe so far. I really like them two together. But Lana says as he's going around, and there even like there's a moment early in this issue where Superman he's like working on the tractor. Like he's trying to fix the tractor. It's a classic Superman thing, right? Where the Kent's trying to fix the tractor and he just can't. He's almost done with it, and all of a sudden he's hearing someone off in the distance that needs help, and he stops it. So he flies through Smallville like full speed, and the good people of Smallville who know who Superman is just looking like, man, he's never fixing that tractor.
Yeah.
Like it's a great role. I'm like, yep, that's a Superman moment right there.
Yeah.
But there's an even better one with Lana where he's in this blue and she's like, you know, Ma Kent was right. Black was never your color. Blue is, right? And he's like
Yeah.
standing there as like that symbol. It's good stuff right there. Really good stuff. I've done a lot of yapping. AF, what'd you make of this issue? Is it everything that you've been waiting for as well?
Dude, I enjoyed this issue so much. There was so much good that came out of this as well in terms of so like the way the previous issue ended, like you're asking about where the name Clark came from. Obviously it's from that letter that Martha wrote to him, our lost son, our angel, Clark Kent. And in the main universe, before Clark came to Earth, Jonathan and Martha always had the name Clark if they were going to have a son. So I think that just basically carried over to the absolute universe as well. The fact that he landed on their doorstep in this way, they just named him Clark Kent, and he's just going to go using that name now on Earth. And I think it's really cool that they've done it this way. In my theory is that the black that we was wearing was the mourning of Krypton and the mourning
Yes.
of his people, of his world. And now that he's sort of gotten this other persona, this Clark Kent persona, he can keep the symbol of his people, but he can use the suit that his mother made for him while she was busy dying or passing away in the old age home. So she wasn't done with it yet, but he saw what she was trying to do, and now he gets to basically merge both of those together to create this new suit that we see him using in the absolute universe. But dude, there was one panel in this book that really like it had me welling up a bit, and that was when he came across this kid that was dying from cancer, and this kid had no family, no parents, an orphan, and this kid like they didn't want to die alone, so he took them to see the mountains, to have this amazing view just before they pass away. They pass away in his arms, and man, what a moment! What a moment! Like we speak
Mhm.
about the hope and like everything that this Superman is going to bring to this universe, and we see it right there. Like we see what he's trying to do, and Jason Aaron, man, what a guy, man! To write a book like he did this one, I'm so excited for what's going to happen next.
TJ, I always bring this up, but Jason Aaron mentioned that he wanted this book to be the Jane Foster Thor of DC.
Hell yeah.
This issue, I'm seeing the swing, right?
Mhm.
Like this issue, it's like the heartstrings, like as AF mentioned, with the little kid who just didn't want to die alone, and Superman took him to the top of a mountain and just like held him for his last moments. And there's another line, and there's so many amazing lines in here. Like Jason Aaron's cooking, and there's some really good stuff.
When
with
does he
Ra's
not
al Ghul,
cook,
too,
to
right?
be
There's really
honest?
good stuff with Ra's al Ghul, where it shows that Superman, in the face of absolute evil, like the scummiest and scummiest of evil, will sit there, look it dead in the face until maybe it turns a corner, right? Until maybe that evil, like, essentially laughs itself to sleep. But there is a moment as this book is ending, and I won't spoil. Again, we try not to do full spoilers here. I won't spoil who maybe the next villain is. But as we've talked about with Superman, he has, the super hearing. He can hear the screams of the world and how much it tortured him. And he hated it, and he just wanted to scream the stuff. But then he realizes the noises and the voices and the screams, as chaotic and as heart-wrenching as it is, at least it means noise is life, right? He knows that there's still life, there's still people there, as opposed to what Krypton is, which is dead silent. And that's what he embraces, as opposed to what silence is, because silence is death. When you hear nothing, that's when you need to be scared, right? It's almost like the Daredevil, like what would happen if Daredevil was there for Infinity War and you hear less heartbeats, right? It's the same idea. And then in comes this next villain, and then same thing with what the absolute Batman is do. We set up this next arc villain, but then we set up the next big bad, the next thing that could break Kal-El down the line, which is Lex Luthor. That's not a surprise. Who's the happiest man?
Spoiler, dude.
Smallville. That one's not a spoiler. It's Lex Luthor, the big bad down the line. But who's the happiest man in Smallville? So I love this issue. This was straight 5 out of 5. I do not give 5 out of 5 issues often. This is one.
Yeah, I fully agree. I'm going 5-star for this one.
Same.
It had everything, dude. This book really had it all, and I'm so damn excited to see what Jason Aaron's gonna cook now, knowing that we have our Superman to an extent. But yeah, like, just one more thing before we move on is you mentioned the Lana and the Lois stuff, dude. That was so Clark about every time they asked him out to a date, to a dinner, to a beer, and the dude is just like, nope, I'm just gonna fly away. I'm gonna pretend that you didn't ask that question. So yeah, that was great. I can't wait to see what happens with that love triangle, and then also that cliffhanger with the new villain that we're gonna get.
This Superman definitely embraces that Midwest emo vibe. You can see him rocking some flannel, going to a Hot Mulligan show. I can absolutely see that from this Clark Kent. We can finally say, fantastic issue. Loved it. Loved it. I'm the only one who read this. This is Matt Fraction's Batman. This is issue number 5. This is, as previously mentioned, written by Matt Fraction, artist Jorge Jimenez, colors Samaya Mori, letter Clayton Cowles, and editors Jessica Barbet and Rob Levin. I've been like lukewarm on this. I think it's been fun. It's been pretty light. Even prior to this issue, it's been pretty light. And it's a pretty basic meat and potatoes Batman so far, which I think after the last couple runs that Batman has had is much needed. In this issue, Bruce Wayne, kind of sort of going on a date with the head of I can't even remember her name, I'm going to be honest, but she's the head of a company who is looking into like the inner psyches of villains, essentially. And he's kind of like going on like a date to get more information on her, because that's a very Bruce Wayne thing to do. And then, oh no, a villain shows up and it turns into a big car chase because the villain's actually trying to get her, not him, trying to get her. Long story short, they escape. They get on top of a building. Damien shows up because he didn't realize that Bruce was kind of on a date, and she's like off in the corner hiding from all the bad people. And Damien says, "Father, what are you doing?" And then the woman comes around the corner. She's like, And oh dear, oh boy. Bruce's identity's out again. So I'm like, okay.
Shucks.
Ah, shucks. So this is a pretty light, fun Batman book so far, especially compared to what's going on in the Absolute Universe, which is like very dark, very heavy, very Dark Souls-esque villains. This is more of a classic-esque meat and potatoes, soul food, good food, Batman. It's like, I know what I'm getting at here. I know what we're about to get. My only gripe with it is I think it is like fairly basic. Nothing crazy is going on. And I never in any chance would see Damien making a mistake like that ever, because he's smarter than that. Even though he's a child, he is not stupid. But it's a comic book, whatever. Fun issue, 3.5 out of 5, maybe 3.8 if I had to give you an exact number. Fun, lighthearted, a lot of action, decent. I've seen a lot of positive feedback on this book, which I was actually a little bit surprised about. Like really, really, really positive feedback. And I was like, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, this book's been like sold out at my local comic shop. So like every issue gets sold out. So they have to be doing something right.
Sure. Yeah. I maybe it's because I've been gravitating more towards the Absolute Batman. I find that more interesting because it's such a huge swing and a big take. And this is just like, it's Bruce being played by Bruce with a silly little
Batman
bit of
sells. We know that. We know Batman sells like more than any other character.
Yeah, that's true. So 3.8 out of 5. Think it's fun. If you've been enjoying it, hell yeah. I'm still pulling it. Don't know why. I just am. I'm enjoying it because I really like Matt Fraction's work. On to Marvel. Okay. On to Marvel. We're starting with Ultimate Wolverine, issue 13. This is written from Chris Condon, artist Domenico Carbone, colorist Brian Valenza, letterer Corey Pettit, and editors Michelle Marchese and Will Moss. I will get this out of the way. I genuinely liked this issue. There has been a lot of negative feedback on this issue.
Really?
Yes. And I'll give
Why?
you 2 answers why. One, and I will agree with this, although I never look at a comic book issue like this, but I can understand where people are coming from. You look at this cover, Maker's not involved in this book at all. Like it's people are like, it's cover bait. I'm like, okay. Here's what this issue is. This is the first issue of a final arc, and it feels like it. Shocking to no one. The first 4 pages of this, TJ, you're shocker. I love the first 4 pages. Oh,
I thought
why?
that's what your problem was going to be, something related to magic, because I was like,
So the first 4 pages of this issue is beginning Ileana backstory. And I thought this whole issue was going to be like, oh, we're getting to see what made Ultimate Ileana Ultimate Magic, this evil character. You get 4 pages of it, and then you move on. Because Wolverine's got to fight Ursa Major for another 10 pages. And it's a super fast, not a lot of word, big, slashy, snicked, fun issue. And he kills Ursa Major, and the end.
5 out of 5, baby.
So that's where a lot of people come in with the negative feedback about this issue. Is it is too much action, which I'm like, okay, too much action. And seemingly, here's the thing. I have not confirmed this. I have not listened to this episode of Comic Book Live yet. Comic Book Live and Comic Book Club, solid podcast, where they also do reviews and interviews and all that jazz, because every other comic book podcast on the interwebs does the same thing.
But not like us. Not like us.
But there's reports out there saying that Chris Condon maybe said that it was editorial's decision to put the Ileana stuff in this issue, or like put it in the final arc. And I'm like, okay. And so they're criticizing for that. I'm like, okay, well, good job on editorial for doing that, I guess. But I'm like, all right, it's fine. But I still need to confirm that. Art here is good. I liked it. If you didn't like it, I'm sorry. I think this is just a solid first issue to a final arc.
See, I think this for me highlights interesting thing, and like it all depends on what you're coming for, right? Because for me, I love this issue. And like you said, 10 pages of him fighting Ursa Major. Like, again, for me personally, that's what I'm coming to Ultimate Wolverine for. Like those first couple issues of him just going crazy. Like, that's what I'm here. That's what I'm seated for. So to me, this was an awesome issue. I loved it. But I guess, for some other people, they're coming into this expecting something else, or, maybe want something else. So I can see why that would disappoint them. But the criticism of there being too much action in a Wolverine book is like insane to me. Again, to each their own. I'm not saying anybody's wrong, but yeah, I thought it was great, man. I talked before, like when he got hooked up with all the other mutants. I can't even remember their little resistance group, but I was like kind of like falling off. I was like, yeah, I like it, but I don't like it as much. And now I'm loving it again now that he's on his own. So again, I think it really is just like what you're coming for and like kind of what your expectations are. And as far as the cover bait, first of all, no shit. I mean, we're selling issues here, folks. And secondly, we're in the midst of Endgame. Like Endgame has started. So it does not shock me that, like, I'm sure all of these covers are going to feature Maker in some form or fashion, whether he's in the issue or not. It's like, we talked about this, I think, last week. It's the age of the event. We're in the event. They're going to push it into your face every opportunity that they get. And it's a sick ass cover. I mean, I don't even care that he's not in it. The cover is just cool on its own.
It's also funny because people are bringing up the whole cover bait thing. I got a variant this week because I went to a separate comic shop. Quick shout out World of Comics in Louisville, Kentucky. That was like one of the best local comic shops that I just went to just on a whim. Huge, incredibly clean, super organized. I was able to get a bunch of back issues on there. So shout out y'all, because that was a great experience. And when Dollar Bin diving, great way to kill some time before going on a plane. So shout out them. But yeah, no, I like this issue. I didn't love it. It's like a 3.5 out of 5, but it's nowhere near as, in my opinion, bad as people have been saying it is.
Yeah, I'd say I'd give it a 4 because, like I said, I'm just a fan of the action, and I think this version of Wolverine for me fits that really well. So I loved it, but like you said, there's really like, I don't know, maybe 10 word bubbles in the whole issue. So it's like I can't really like rate it on like storytelling. Really, I feel like it's fun if you're looking for superhero punchy fighty. This is the issue for you. People are lame, dude. People don't know how to have fun.
All right. TJ.
That's it?
Well, I'll let you talk about Ultimate X-Men right now because I want to do the back-to-back Ultimate line, and I forgot to make a slide for it because I'm very sleepy still.
What about my book?
That's coming up after this. Don't you worry. I want to do back-to-back.
We're just all over
back-to-back Marvel. I have my method.
Jesus.
So TJ,
I get it. I get it.
This is Ultimate X-Men. This was written by Peach Momoko, drawn and painted by Peach Momoko. Look, give me a little quick synopsis just because I know this is the first issue of the final arc.
Yeah, so first issue, final arc, we're really picking up right where we left off. Big battle between Kageyama and Hisaku. Hisaku is off in the wind. I mean, we know she's not gone, right? But it's like, where did she go? Where is she?
Disappeared again.
Yeah, just disappeared. But I mean, we talk about this all the time, and Peach Momoko's art is just so great, and it's just so engaging. I just love flipping through. Even if nothing happens, just flipping through the issues is a joy. But this issue, we kind of, kind of talking back about like the prequel of a prequel kind of thing. This is like, in some ways, a prequel where we're basically following a mutant from the Children of the Atom cult, who has been kind of secretly in the background this whole time. I hope you guys are having a great day. Hey, tuned in just in time, my friend. But so this, I forget what his name is, but one of the mutants from Children of the Atom have kind of secretly been watching things from afar, and we see that he kind of was in May Storm's ear when she first saw Hisako get hit by that car. Like he said something like, "Oh, you have like she's important, like you have to." So he's been like subtly putting, I don't necessarily say if you like say put pieces together, but getting these people to meet each other. So like when what's her fate, the Cyclops parallel kills her mom, like there's a scene where he talks to her, is like, oh, like you need to go here because blah blah blah. As a barber, this is a place to be. Let's go. Literally, this is perfect. Damon, you need to put us in a line so it's growing.
I should, honestly.
But yeah, it's just a good issue. Again, the art is as amazing as it always is. And it just kind of, it sets us up. You know what I mean? Nothing groundbreaking really happens. Like I said, we do get this kind of reveal of this other mutant has kind of been influencing things around. And also I'll mention too, if anyone remembers, 22 issues ago, this mutant that we're following is one of the kids that was bullying Hisaku's friend in the kid who committed suicide.
Yeah.
So this mutant is one of the kids that was bullying him.
He got like not even like a precog, but he is able to manipulate things in a way to make it.
And I mean, I don't want to spoil too much because the first couple pages are pretty crazy, where you see what happens to him, and then like it's kind of timey-wimey sort of. It's good. It's like I said, kind of hard to explain without spoiling a lot of it, but it was just good to be back. It was a good issue to set us up for this last arc, and then we end off with our girl Maystorm in the new year. So yeah, it's good. I mean, we both have talked about this. We both love this book, and people say it's a slow burn, but I think if you've been keeping up with it, you will be satisfied with it.
I'm going to ask you and Tyrese in chat and anyone else who's been reading Ultimate X-Men or just the Ultimate Universe in general, what your thoughts on this are. How do we feel now that there's still Ultimate titles kind of finishing themselves off now that we are officially in the event? Does it feel weird to you? I mean, we're comic book readers, so we're kind of used to things being like, that's a bit down the future right now. We're reading something that happened before this, right? But how do we feel about that?
I mean, for me, I've always felt and kind of approached Ultimate X-Men. Shout out Norway. Let's go. Thank you for tuning in.
41. Negative 41. Good Lord.
I thought Chicago was cold. Now that's another level of cold. But yeah, for Ultimate X-Men, I've always kind of approached it as its own thing. I know that it obviously connects with all the other stuff in the Ultimate Universe, but to me, it's just I'm not even thinking about all that other crap when I'm reading Ultimate X-Men. I just take it for the story that Peach has given me. When it does connect, when they bring those pieces together, great. But yeah, no, the what's the word I'm looking for? The rollout of Endgame and like all that has not affected my enjoyment of Ultimate X-Men. I'm not one of those people that's like, but how does it connect? Like, when is Maystorm coming? Will it happen? Probably. I don't know. But again, I think this book is good on its own. I don't need it to connect to Ultimate Spider-Man. And that's just my opinion.
I'm going to ask both of you this, sticking on the Endgame stuff, because I did finally go to my comic shop last week, and I did get a blind bag. AF, were you getting Endgame? Did you get a blind bag? Were they available where you were?
We didn't have any of those, but I don't have much context to be reading Endgame. I'm only following Ultimate Spider-Man. Okay. So is that enough for me to get into Ultimate Endgame? Probably not.
If you're reading Ultimates, I would say yeah. But
yeah, no. I would not get, and this is a suggestion to everyone. We mentioned this last week. Ultimate Endgame is not a book you get into unless you've been keeping up with everything. That is quite literally like getting into Infinity War or Endgame without watching any MCU.
Like I said, I would say the Ultimates. I would say if you're reading the Ultimates, I think you could jump in.
Which is like saying you watch the Avengers movies by themselves.
Which, yeah, you're still going to miss, but I would say you could probably jump in if you are keeping up with the Ultimates. But if you're just reading like Black Panther and Ultimate Spider-Man, you are going to be so lost.
Oh, so incredibly lost. Tyrese mentioned that This is the first Ultimate book. Reading for the rest. Totally agree with you and Tyrese
Yep.
also about it
Shout
being
out
very
Tyrese.
isolated. That's kind of the intention of this book. It is sort of like Peach Momoko's Demon Days series that she's been doing, which is completely separate from main Marvel continuity and very, very cool. And I think that really benefits Ultimate X-Men in a way. And it's been really fascinating to see the amount of people who have been jumping onto it a little bit late, because I think a
Mhm.
lot of the Ultimate readers like got into it. I'm like, what is this? And then it finally found its audience, which is really, really, really cool to see from this book.
It definitely benefits from a binge read too, for
Absolutely.
like
For
reading
sure.
it in like a trade for sure.
Yeah. All right, TJ, what would you rate this title?
A 4 out of 5. Like I said, it's kind of similar to what we talked about with Ark-M. It's like the beginning of a new thing, so we're kind of getting back into the groove and setting our things up. But yeah, it's great issue.
AF, I did not forget about you, buddy. Don't you worry.
Dude, I would have just like cried live on air. I would have cried because
Isn't
this
this
is the
the
finale.
This is
last
the
Green
last
Arrow
issue.
too? Like the
Yes,
last
it
one.
is.
Yeah, Damon
This is
just totally wipes it from the slate.
yeah.
This
Like you
is
can never speak
Green.
about Green Arrow ever again.
This is Green Arrow
It's
31. Yeah,
done.
my
It's
Hawkeye
done.
bias is really coming through here. Green Arrow 31, written by Chris Condon, artists Osvaldo Pestana and Osvaldo Pestana Montpellier, colors Adriana Lucas, letter Buddy Bowden, and editors Chris Rosa and Paul Kaminsky. This is, as we just mentioned, the last issue of this Green Arrow run. Very sad, but we will be seeing the Arrow fam go into the Bat title books. They're moving to Gotham. I know, AF, you're not happy about that. You can give me your thoughts on it after this issue about what they're doing with Green Arrow and Black Canary. But I want to know, because I looked in and I saw a ton of positive feedback on this issue. And I've been behind on this series, but I've been loving this series after the first timey-wimey arc. You get cooking. How does this last issue wrap up the series? Did you like this issue? And then give me your entire thoughts on the series before we go into the move to Gotham.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, this book was everything that I've ever wanted from a Green Arrow book, and that basically just like it showed the personification of who Green Arrow actually is. And he is this down to earth. He's this guy that keeps on wanting to help everybody else, and he's standing on the rooftop with Detective Lena Benitez, who's been in this sort of series since Chris Condon took over from Josh Williamson.
Yeah.
Since it became more grounded, he started working more with the Star City Police Department, and like this connection between him and Detective Benitez has grown. So it's only right that she becomes the main character in this issue. And they are talking about like how things have been. They were going after the freshwater killer. They did that. Then they went after the Crimson Archer, and they that concluded in issue 30. Yeah, that concluded over there. So this is more like an epilogue. This entire issue is like an epilogue. I think that's the best way to put it. And she keeps on she now tells him the story about her upbringing, and her mother died from cancer. She lived alone with her dad like since she was like 10 years old. And because he lost his wife, he took all his frustration out on her. So she started having these nightmares. She couldn't sleep in the dark. And then one day she went up to the roof and she met Green Arrow in his sort of like that classical
The Robin
costume
Hood
with
look.
the Robin Hood look. So, and he basically talked her through it, just gave her some advice, and he gave her this like tiny little flashlight that, and he told her like, whenever you are scared, just like shine this, and you'll find your way back out, and like be the hero that I know that you can be. And then Detective Benitez comes out and tells him that this isn't the first time that we've met. When I was a 10-year-old girl, I went up to the roof because my dad kept yelling at me, and you gave me this flashlight. And she gives it to him, and she's like, I've become the hero that you told me to be, but I think somebody else will need this torch now. So she literally hands the torch back to him, and off he goes to find his next person that he's going to give the torch to. Dude, 5 out of 5.
Beautiful.
I loved this issue. Chris Condon, why did you have to leave to go back to Marvel, man? Come back and write Green Arrow, please. I'm begging you. Um,
Ah,
but I understand the sales were low, but I feel like this book wasn't marketed as much as the Josh Williamson books, and that was because that was very pivotal in the dawn of DC and what they were trying to do over there. Whereas this one was very self-contained; it didn't really link up with anything else in the All-In universe. So I don't think that they had any sort of they didn't think that it was necessary to market it as much. It was just basically word of mouth and the Green Arrow fans that would be picking up this one. But I'm so sad, dude. The writing since Chris Condon took over has been magnificent. Every issue has been really really good. You got into it. You agreed with me
yeah, it took
on
the
that as
freshwater
well.
arc.
Yeah,
Once when I read the freshwater arc, I mean, look, I've said it many times. It's not shocking. What's exactly behind me right now? Like Matt Fraction's Hawkeye is like my favorite comic book run, and I was getting a lot of vibes from that. Not just because it's a guy with a bow and arrow, but because of how grounded, how personal that story was to Green Arrow. Even though very different characters from a personal point of view,
yeah.
right? Very different characters, but they still kind of represent that good in a way. And it had a lot of like the art was fantastic as well. It just reminded me of it as I'm going through it. And I'm into the Crimson Arrow arc. I think that's how as far as
Crimson Archer. Yeah,
Crimson Archer arc that they could let me get into so far. So it's a bummer, man. I'm kicking myself for not getting back into it from a monthly pull once when Condon took over. And I think that's partially because when you had, and it's affected this for a few books already, including Titans, when you had an ongoing and you had the all new initiative and some new writers took over some books, but some other writers stayed, it became a little confusing, I think, maybe to most people on like, well, I didn't like that first arc of Joshua Williamson and I laid off. And I don't think during All In, when those first issues came out, they really emphasized that's like jumping on point. And I think they could have done that maybe a little bit better looking
yeah.
back.
Yeah, no, I agree. But like I said, I don't think that they really cared too much or thought too much about marketing this one because I think that they knew that they had an end date in mind of when to end this Green Arrow run. And Chris probably knew what his responsibilities and his duties were over at Marvel. So they told him, okay, we're giving you this task to write for the next, what, sort 12, 13 issues. uh, can you give us an amazing story arc and then wrap everything up and then you head back over there and we'll take Green Arrow somewhere else after that. And he probably just agreed to it. But man, what a luxury, what a treat. Those 12 issues were amazing. Not to say that the Josh stuff wasn't good,
Oh yeah.
but I feel like those books were more means to an end, and we got some really cool Arrow family stuff. Like you
Mhm.
were exposed to the entire Arrow family, the entire 1 million of them,
There's
and
so many. There's a
it's so
red
many.
canary. I'm like, who are you? And they're like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's from which I thought Williamson when he handled that did it really well to be like, you absolutely do not know this character unless you're a hardcore Green
yeah,
Arrow fan. So he did a really good job, like bringing up like all of the underlings and then the canary underlings.
yeah. So yeah, I think both creators achieved what they needed to
Mhm.
in their own right. And yeah, I think it was a really great run. I'm just sad that it ends at 31. But yeah, like you said, they are moving over to Gotham City. Green Arrow, Oliver Queen is leaving Star City behind, which I don't really agree with too much because Star City is his place, man. Like
Mhm.
it's synonymous with the character. You think Green Arrow, you think Star City. You don't think, oh, Green Arrow, Oliver Queen, it's going to be Gotham City. No, like that's basically what the Arrow show was. The Arrow
I was
show
just about to
was
say, maybe
basically
if they watched
Batman.
Arrow, they might think that.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not too chuffed about that one. How do you feel about it, Damon?
I think it's a way of keeping Oliver and Black Canary and Dinah are just relevant, and Tom Taylor. So I think it's going on the detective books, which Tom Taylor is doing. I
Yeah.
think it's just a way of being like, they're available. Let's bring them in.
Yeah.
And I don't think they'll be there the entire time, but maybe for like a longer arc before possibly moving back or whatever. Until absolute crisis happens, AF, which we know is happening eventually. Not anytime soon, thankfully, but down the line it'll happen.
Yeah, there are way too many absolute characters that they are still going to be introducing. So
We're still waiting for the absolute Green Arrow book, which was announced and teased, and we still don't have a date or a title or anything for it yet. So I think that's also partially a reason why they're doing this, is because they didn't want too many duplicates in their mind on the shelf.
Yeah.
All right. Let's look at next week's polls. I got a lot of books next week, but not a lot of major books. I have Supergirl on here twice, more or less, just because I really want that punk rock Supergirl cover. That thing's so good. Beneath the Trees or Nobody Sees, The Rites of Spring, number 5. For fans of the show, you will love Beneath the Trees or Nobody Sees, the original book, and the follow-up, which is the sequel, which is Rite of Spring. This is the last issue of that. Highly recommend. DCKO number 3 is out next week. I have not been as high on DCKO as I know a lot of other people have been. It's fine. It feels like a big Fortnite event. I'm gonna be completely honest, and it's okay. Minor Arcana 13. I've really been enjoying Minor Arcana. We already mentioned Supergirl and the Ultimates number 20. Ooh, after that crazy last issue, I am fascinated to see what more Ultimate Universe characters that Dennis Camp can squeeze together at the end of the Ultimate line as he can possibly do. TJ, what you got next week?
Short and sweet, baby. Got Ultimates 20 and Uncanny X-Men, which I'm not sure which number, but one of the Uncanny X-Men.
Well, it was on break for a long time after the whole Age of Revelation event. So
22.
Sure.
Uncanny X-Men number 22. That's another one I've been behind on, but I do want to highlight it because in my opinion, it's one of the best of the X-Men conglomerate books going on right now. Shout out Gail Simone. So yeah, it's fun X-Men. You know what I mean? Like there's all this crazy stuff going on, like you said, of
there's
age
new
of
mutants in there that are like some really interesting, like
they're just like a new kid mutants that are like, you know, just kind of doing stuff. It's fun. So yeah, those are my two though for next week.
AF, what you got?
Yeah, I got DCKO number 3, got Black Cat number 6. And then this week, the books that I'm probably going to pick up tomorrow from my comic book store is all new Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider, Cheetah and Cheshire Rob the Justice League. That one finishes this week. So quite curious and interested to see what they're actually going to do over there. And then DCKO Night Fight number 3. So Batman's still relevant in the DCKO stuff. I've been enjoying the tie-ins, so Justice League Unlimited, the Superman. I think we had one of the battles in the Superman number 33, and then in Flash number 28 as well. It was the Jay Garrick vs. Guy Gardner stuff. Yeah. So it seems like all the fights are happening in all of these tie-in books.
Yeah,
and the DCKO main title is basically just going to further the story and not really show much of what's happening in the tournament.
Which I do hope they show a little bit what's happening in the tournament in the main line book, because I had credited it so far, but like, okay, so far it looks like you don't really have to read the tie-ins, and then all of a sudden, starting in a month, it's like, oh no, the tie-ins actually show the fights. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, for spoilers who haven't been keeping up, apparently the Jason Todd Joker one, although Joker won, a lot of the Red Hood fans are really happy with how that was written. So I'm really happy for y'all for finally getting a good Jason Todd story, which is nice. Nice to hear. Y'all been waiting for that. Kudos to you. I quickly wanted to shout out before we go off air. We love League of Comic Geeks. That's where my pull list kind of info comes from. That's where I review and log, and it's the letterboxed of comics.
Yep.
And what does one app do, or every app do, at the end of every year? They do a little recap. And Comics Geeks just dropped today, by the way. So if you have the Comic Geeks
Ooh.
app and if you've been logging and keeping updated with all of your comics that you've been reading throughout the year, you can go to the app on the homepage. There's your 2025 comic book year in review. I read a total. Let me pull it up super, super quick. I read a total of 681 comics in 2025, which isn't terrible. I could do better than that, but decent. And a lot of it came from rereading like New Mutants. And at the end of the year, a lot of new Teen Titans reads. TJ, just looking back on 2025, I know you do a lot of writing for websites and reading a lot of older books. Is there any book that really stood out to you in 2025 that wasn't a book that we would talk about, but maybe an older book?
Oh, yeah, that's too big of a question to just drop on me all of a sudden, man. I don't know. That's a hard one. Like
favorite book of March of 2025. No.
Yeah, right. Like, wait, so you're talking new like books from 2025, or just
Not
my
new book,
favorite
the
thing
book
I
that you
read in
for the
2025?
first time in 2025
Okay.
that did not come out in 2025.
Mm,
And if you can't think of one, I can
Jesus.
delay it and send it to AF real quick.
Yeah, go to AF, man. I need to think. What did I even read, man?
You read a lot, please.
I think it's a book that I like, but this was more in like preparation for a movie, and that was
That's fine.
All-Star Superman. So
Yeah,
I
good.
reread that, like, because I forgot most of what happened.
Mhm.
So I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna go for a bit of a reread. So that was cool in terms of just like preparing myself a bit mentally about what could be happening in the Superman movie. But yeah, other than that, I didn't really read much of the older material. It was more just me just trying to stay up about what's being released week in, week out.
Okay. TJ, you got one.
I do have one, but I am brain farting on the name and writer right now.
God.
But yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on. But X-Force, Uncanny X-Force, I think, with Deadpool, Archangel, Phantom X. What is it? I think it's just X-Force, right? Who's the writer on it? Oh gosh.
What year did it come out in?
That's a good question, man. Oh man, I could be here for freaking days if anyone in the comments knows. But yeah,
Like, are you talking about like the original X-Force?
yeah, like I
That would be
where
that would be a Liefeld book.
No, not Liefeld. Definitely not Liefeld. Definitely not Liefeld. It's where they go and they save Apocalypse. Like Apocalypse is a kid now, and they save Apocalypse. And god damn, I'm really getting upset here. I want to say Jeff Lemire, but I feel like that's not right.
All right.
But yeah, that one.
What about
that
you,
was
though, Damon?
amazing.
For me, yeah, it was a mix of both rereading a ton of New Mutants, Claremont's New Mutants, which was incredible to really go back and do my Ileana / Magic bins. And then at the end of the year, I've been really catching up on the original new Teen Titans reading, like the comics. Because in reality, I really only read, and this is actually hilarious to read without like reading anything else. I really only read Judas Contract. So reading everything prior to that, it's like, oh, context.
I found it. It's Uncanny X-Force by Rick Remender, 2010.
So definitely not the original run.
Yeah, not the original. And I'm sorry, I feel like such an idiot. It took me so long to find that. But yes, Uncanny X-Force. Absolutely awesome. It was so good. I read the entire, like, I was reading it for an article, like just to do whatever. And it was so good. I had to read the whole thing. I was like, damn, this is some good shit. So definitely recommend.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, that'll do it for this issue of the Comic Corner. Shout out Polar Knights. Shout out Tyrese for joining us in the chat. Thank y'all for popping in and giving your thoughts. I absolutely love that. As always, go support your local comic shop. Go to comicshoplocator.com to find the nearest comic shop near you. Like I do whenever I go on a random work trip to God knows where. I go to a website, I look it up, and I'm like, all right, what comic shops are in town that I can hit up? Either on a Wednesday, which is what I did this week, and got some of my usual pulls, but variant covers, because my actual pulls are still waiting for me at my comic shop, and I want to double up completely on covers. Or to, do some dollar bin diving or back issues and whatnot. It's a blast. I love doing that whenever I go on a work trip. So go check out your local comic shop. It's the heartbeat. It is the soul and everything of the comic book industry as we know it. Thank you all for tuning in. We will be back next week at noon. We're back to a consistent time in 2026. And we will see you then. Before we go, I always get yelled at by TJ. Check out our Percy Jackson show. We also have an episode out next week with a draft. We are drafting our most hyped projects of 2026, but it is a different type of draft. It's actually really interesting what TJ came up with. It's a conglomerate draft where we are all drafting positions on a single board, and we can veto each other on if we think something is too high or too low.
Wow.
And it's a conglomerative collab draft. It's a really neat idea, and I'm really excited to do
That's
that
cool.
with myself, TJ. I believe Sean and Jam will be on with us. Really looking forward to that. We will see you then. Everyone, stay safe, take care, and we will see you next week.